joke about genetic superiority. Like, that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And
America's most sought-after sweetheart became the most controversial figure not by changing, but by refusing to pretend anymore. This is the ultimate downfall of Sydney Sweeney. Before we unravel how one actress became hated for being the most loved, hit that subscribe button. Recent controversies.
Sydney Sweeney has very keen.
You see what I did there, right?
It all happened in July 2025, when American Eagle launched what could have been a straightforward advertising campaign. They decided to hire Sydney Sweeney, who was Hollywood's rising star, fresh off her unique role in the series Euphoria. She appeared in many promotional materials with the tagline saying, "Sydney Sweeney has great genes." At first, everyone loved the ad, but by looking a little deeper into it, it was just a wordplay that was obvious. Calling jeans jeans turned controversial and racist all of a sudden. Even though it was a harmless pun referencing both denim and genetics, which was maybe nodding to classic fashion campaigns from decades past, it backfired. That's because nothing is harmless anymore. Not in an era where every word gets dissected, every image is analyzed to its deeper meaning, and every celebrity statement can make or break their career. And this wasn't the only controversy that Sydney was involved in, because following that, she went through a series of other controversies that revealed something far more disturbing than whether one advertisement was racist or not. From there, the backlash was immediate and intense, according to most narratives. Critics claim that the advertisement echoed eugenics and that the phrase "great genes" carried a sinister implication about her genetic superiority. Things get worse when you add her previous MAGA-related family party, which became one of the biggest controversies in itself. Then, there was her Republican voter registration and her relationship with the music industry villain Scooter Braun. The advertisement showed us more than her true face. Sydney was actively dangerous and had become a symbol of white supremacy, wrapped in a blonde bombshell actress package. But here's where things get more complicated, because simple narratives about good celebrities and bad celebrities start to crumble. Sydney's downfall was exactly because of her attitude towards those very controversies. So when you dig deeper into what actually happened, you reveal the truth about Sydney Sweeney, something that her Euphoria fans aren't ready for. The one who predicted everything.
Something refreshing about the amount of time she was putting into herself.
To understand how Sydney got into such a condition, we need to go back to the role that launched her into the mainstream media. Cassie Howard from HBO's Euphoria was never meant to be likable. She was written as the worst kind of female archetype who was desperate for male validation, as seen in many of her scenes with Jacob Elordi. From emotional breakdowns to betraying her closest friends for attention, her role was basically her increasingly destructive choices in pursuit of feeling wanted. Somehow, this resonated with a lot of girls out there, which is where she built her Euphoria fanbase. But there was also one side of the Euphoria fanbase that loved to hate Cassie. Her character became a cultural phenomenon and spawned thousands of memes about performative femininity and the damage caused by external validation. However, viewers already separated Cassie from Sydney, with some even telling her that she's actually super likable in real life and wasn't the train wreck that she portrayed on screen. However, something suddenly shifted because Sydney started making choices in her real-life career that felt uncomfortably aligned with Casey's impulses. She went into male-gazed marketing that felt quite provocative, selling bathwater, doing advertisements that clearly targeted straight men, and even embracing the dumb blonde with great assets image that she had hated all her career. Some started saving her while the Euphoria fanbase felt that it was super odd that Sydney was selling bathwater and doing stuff like that.
Sydney Sweeney.
Let's face it, guys only want one thing.
Wish I had something natural instead of this synthetic body wash.
In other words, the line between Sydney Sweeney, the person, and Cassie Howard, the character, began to blur in many ways that people didn't realize at first. In this specific scenario, art was now imitating life, and maybe life was imitating art, but no one could really tell what was what anymore. The MAGA question. Her first major controversy started in 2022 when photos of Sydney's mother's 60th birthday surfaced. The theme was rodeo, except some details made people stop scrolling. There were hats with the writing, "Make 60 Great Again," and it was an obvious play on Trump's slogan. There were guests even wearing Blue Lives Matter merchandise. And there it was, confirmed. Just like always, Sydney brushed it off as a harmless family fun post. She posted a statement that it was just a party, nothing political, and that people should stop making everything so serious. Sydney just wanted to brush everything off. Yet in the background, something dark was brewing. Our response satisfied almost nobody. If your family wore MAGA-adjacent clothing and BLM shirts, and you genuinely disagreed with those political remarks, wouldn't you take at least 30 seconds to clarify your actual beliefs? Wouldn't it make sense to distance yourself from ideologies that you find harmful? That's just how it goes. But for Sydney, it was nothing. She didn't give any explanation. The absence of her denial or acceptance felt like a confirmation to critics. Since Sydney was raised in rural Idaho, which was a conservative household, her family clearly leaned toward the right wing. Then came the one big moment that changed everything. Voter registration records showed Sydney registered as a Republican after Trump secured the nomination. Now, there was no more speculation or reading the unobvious because she made her political affiliation official and public, even if she tried to hide it a lot. Now we must know that there was a particular group of fandom that was protecting her through earlier conversation, and to them, this felt like a betrayal. They argued that she was being unfairly judged for her family's choices, and that growing up in a conservative area would automatically make someone conservative. Most said we should give her the benefit of the doubt. However, the registration records erased any doubt. Then came another big issue, which put her one step closer to ruining her own career. Before we talk about that, please subscribe to our channel if you like videos where we uncover Hollywood's deepest, darkest sides. Scooter Braun. Issue. If registering as a Republican was less of an issue, dating Scooter Braun was the biggest controversial move that she could have made. Braun is perhaps the most controversial figure in the modern music industry. He is a manager and executive known for his shady business tactics and willingness to destroy anyone who comes in his way. One of his most famous issues was with Taylor Swift, in which he purchased her early music catalog to gain control over her entire legacy. Taylor even said that she was in a worst-case scenario type of situation with everything, even accusing Braun of years of bullying, harassment, and manipulation. She even went as far as to re-record her own albums just to get complete ownership over her music. And then Sydney started dating him in mid-2025, shortly after meeting at Jeff Bezos' wedding. This was quite an odd thing because on one hand, we had a woman who's always played in roles where she was emotionally damaged, and now she finds herself romantically involved with someone who is known for manipulating and harming others, including one of the most popular female singers in pop culture. There were lots of opposing teams here because you could just judge someone based on the company that they keep. However, advocates argued the opposite was true. Holding women responsible for the actions of men they date is just not true. Both arguments have some substance to them, which is why the situation escalated so quickly. But now, we must understand the American Eagle ad due to its proper context. By the time it was launched in July 2025, Sydney was already in a lot of controversy. The MAGA Party, Republican registration, and the Scooter Braun relationship. Everything was making sense over and over again. She had almost betrayed her own fan base, which was progressive audiences whom she represented. So, after the Great Jeans ad came, critics saw this as a gotcha moment and knew what she was on about. But there were two sides to the coin. According to data analysis by the New York Times, the initial response to the ad was largely positive and very few people criticized it. After the right-wing influencers and politicians claimed that the left was angry, that's where it became a real controversy. In other words, this outrage was tailor-made for the audience. The suspicious interview. After Sydney finally sat down with GQ magazine to talk about the many controversies she's been through, fans and critics all thought this would be the moment when Sydney would say everything right. Even if she wouldn't apologize, she would at least clarify herself on some of the positions. So, what happened? Nothing. None of those things came true. And the interview became legendary for the fact that Sydney Sweeney refused to utter a word and dismissed everything by saying that if she had something meaningful to say, fans would hear it. She was even asked about Trump publicly supporting her, to which she called a surreal moment. However, she also said she was too busy filming to pay much attention there. In other words, she wasn't going to play for a performative apology, and even if those people represented ideologies she disagreed with, she just wouldn't say anything. Sydney gave zero care to critics who wanted to know her side of the story. Her body language during the interview told the same story. She was confident, a little amused, and completely unbothered by the interviewer's attempt to extract some kind of a gotcha moment from her. For many, it was a dream. Especially during these unstable times, a celebrity refusing to bow to the outrage mob while standing her ground was something that they had rarely seen before. The death of woke culture.
I kept a lot of Cassie's jeans. I take her lingerie. Mainly just the jeans.
So what do we see here? Sydney's refusal to apologize or clarify made her a symbol of a broader cultural shift.
Away from performative progressive celebrities that were defined in the 2010s and onwards.
That era gave us the right to put rainbow logos during Pride Month and a lot more. However, beyond that, the backlash of that era was insane because people grew tired of the moral purity tests, constantly making people watch their language, and the sense that no amount of apology would ever be enough. Sydney basically said, "Why apologize when apologies are not going to do anything?" This seems like the death of woke culture. But Sydney, during her pursuit of creating this new culture, has instigated her own downfall. Sydney and Taylor Swift are different sides of the same coin, participating in the same culture. They both benefit from economic inequality, corporate consolidation, and even politics. What we're witnessing isn't the downfall of Sydney Sweeney, but a sudden shift in her refreshing honesty. While a lot of people hate her, there are many supporters of her, too. Despite all the pressure, Sydney didn't change. Her recent movies are doing the worst, but she does not care. On the other hand, many other celebrities are calling her out, but she simply does not have the time to look at them. And even if she does not care. Do you think Sydney's career has ended? Or is it a beginning or something new? Let us know in the comments down below, and do subscribe to our channel if you're looking for more videos like these.